I'm going to be going through the corrosion repair to this Talbot Express front crossmember, and what has actually caused it, given this vehicle's 33 years old, is the factory underseal, as you can see there, flaking, and it forms a little shelf which traps water. So I've removed quite a lot already, but it all needs to go back to good steel in order to repair it. You can see it's quite heavily pitted, and if we go there, there's holes, so I've had to take the full bumper off to do this, unfortunately, and we're going to have to cut all this rubbish rusty metal out and go back to good. Now what I want this to be is a video which will give people a bit of an advantage should they have to weld a vehicle up. So I'm going to make it really generic in the hope that it's of value to somebody who wants to learn how to repair their own vehicles. So let's have a look at how bad it is. Now, if you push on it, you can feel it. You've got to be really careful not to injure yourself here. But it's an instant MOT fail, unfortunately. So the first thing to do is disconnect the battery. Now be careful doing this. I would disconnect it at the negative terminal. If you're disconnecting it at the positive terminal, you can effectively bridge to earth and short the battery. Good surface preparation is key, so I'm going to go over all this bumper with this cut brush just to see where the good metal actually starts, and we'll try and work out the size of the repair patch. Invariably it's a lot bigger than you first think, so we'll put the goggles on and the ear protection. When this cross member was formed, I presume they had spot welds there and a lip. Now quite a bit of this lip's disintegrated. There's just remnants where the spot welds were, so we're going to have to clean all that up nice and smooth, and perhaps fabricate a piece of steel with a lip in to make up what I haven't got, maybe down to, I would say, there with my fingernail. And the next stage is to change the disc to a steel cutting disc and actually cut the old steel out. You can kind of see, yeah, perhaps about there at the most optimistic. We'll know when it's solid enough to weld to. So that's my repair steel in its box, 2mm thick, and you can see it's not quite long enough, so we are going to have to do it in two sections. And I've marked up the first section to be removed with a pencil and a steel ruler. So let's get that cut out, and we have removed a thin line to cut the steel. Now there are some limitations here. We've got the angle grinder which won't cut in there, but it's not so bad that side. That's actually soft metal, so it might just give, and then we can effectively bend it and snap it there. So that's quite good thick steel. Now what we're next going to do is run the blade across the top like so to extract it, and hopefully we can splay these little joints. If not, we're going to have to just cut straight through them just to get this piece out so we can repair it adequately. And we've opened up the gap there with a hammer and an old screwdriver, so we can just get in with a blade to remove that bit at the spot welds. So as you're working with your trusty angle grinder, your blade's getting smaller, so you're struggling to get in where you once got in with ease. That's a full-size blade, but just keep working with it till it's worn away, and do what you can is my advice to get the blade consumed. And that's the cross member opened up, and it is really good steel in here. I'm very pleased with that. Now if the steel's not so good, you'll have to do a repair in there before you do the outer. So that's looking great, and we're getting there. We're just having a little wiggling exercise just to snap this steel off, so I can maybe get in there with the angle grinder for more preparation. Eventually it gives. Move it any which way you can and the steel will snap eventually. So we've got most of it out. There's just a little bit of a spot weld there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in with a grinding disc and we'll just neaten that lip off all the way and remove that out of the corner, whatever that is. We want neat corners. The neater your corners are in this work, the better your job will be for an invisible repair potentially. That's the highest standard you can aspire to. As you can see, the grinding disc is much thicker than the cutting disc. This is a used one, but they do eventually wear down to nothing. So I've marked everything up neatly, and now all we've got to do is cut it out with the cutting blade. So what I want to do now is mark out the rest. So if I measure here, it's 70mm down. And if I measure here, where there's two thicknesses of steel, it's 68mm down. So we're working in 2mm steel to correctly repair this. That's the thickness we require. So we'll mark that all along and cut it out back to good. So what I've done is I've marked this sheet steel out at 90, and we're going to go along the 1 metre length. I wish it were 1.2 actually, it would have done the job in one. And I've got that cut out, and this is where working on a mat is particularly useful. So I've scored the mat, but it's sacrificial, it's not a big problem. And if we offer up our piece of repair steel, we can see the dimensions which we need to put the fold in it. The fold is actually got a bit of a curve in it, and it's 15mm, so I'm going to just mark it for 10, and we'll see if we get the other 5mm as the curve. So given I've got no special equipment, I've got a vise and a hammer, and I'm just going to put it so I can just see the line, and then we're going to hammer tap it that way. That's the first series of hammer taps received. Now I'm not going to go too mad before I reposition. If you go too far, you get a little undesirable crease there, so the next time you want to put it in the vise, you have to squish that, so you just end up going backwards. But persist with this and it should work. And this is the next one, and that's as far as I'm going to go. We're going to keep repositioning, and it'll get progressively easier because we're getting a little line there to set the vise to. And that's the results after one pass, and we've got a few more to go. You see, it's not true, but I'm not worried about that for now. And we're now on our fourth pass, and we've got the choice now whether to continue as we were. So that's getting close to finished. Now there's a few little bends in it I'm going to try and iron out just by looking down it, nip it up in the vise and just give it a little tweak, just try and get it as straight as possible really. And I've offered it up to the van. You can see we've got more corrosion, which invariably when you're doing one bit you will find that there is more, and I'm reasonably happy with that. I think there's room for further tweaking. I might get some grips and just pinch the edges up a bit more, but your steel's got to be flush like it is to the base now. We can either cut some more or just do it'd be more along the lines of an overpatch if we were to just weld that to there as is, but I'm going to cut some more out. I want to get the edges buttered up. So generally speaking, the more clamps you can get your hands on, the better. And we've got to align these edges. Now either that one moves down or this one goes up, and I think it's going to be the latter. So we'll hammer tap that and then we'll mark it and see. So what we want is the straightest possible edge along there. So sometimes we'll be hammering our repair panel up to take a dint out of that, and other times we'll be hammering, if you can find a bit, yeah, hammering the existing bit down. So we want them nice and together so we can achieve a good seam weld. So we're going to push that metal down flush and scratch round the whole thing with a screwdriver, and that'll give us a line to cut to. So what I'm thinking about doing is starting in the middle and tacking in my work out. What I'm up against is a bit of springiness in the panel, so if I keep tacking it down evenly we should be okay. I just need to roughly check that I can align it when I get to it. So this is my welding equipment. What I've got is a Clark gas, no gas MIG welder, and it's got 3 different power settings, and that's currently the highest for thick metal, which is what we're using. Wire feed's adjustable. You need a good earth, so hopefully that will suffice. My plans to start around the middle and you will get a helmet with your MIG welder when you buy it. The best thing to do with that is to throw it away, because it's useless. What you need is one of these auto sensing ones. You can see your work, about 30 quid, that kind of region. I'm on my second, solar powered. They do the job great and will really improve the standard of your welding. I'm using flux cord wire, and now a perk of this model is you can get a full 10 kilo reel on this. And this is the gun. Now, some tips with MIG welding: if you keep two hands on the gun, gives you more control. Now you need to keep the shield there, because I'm using flux cord gas-free wire, which saves a cylinder on hire basically, and paying for it, because I don't do a great deal of welding. You need to keep that tip reasonably close to the weld, because it releases gas as you go. So we've got some good tacks in on there, and I've intentionally left the top unsecured. Now these are a bit blobby because I didn't realise it at the time, but I actually had the power set to the lowest level for much thinner steel, so we're going to angle grind them down and go over them again on higher power. But you can spot the difference in the quality of the welds there. They're excellent, them, and blobby. Now you do have to watch your work like a hawk, 'cause that's free to move, so we'll align that with the parent metal. And we're still tacking out. So I've got his work tacked out, and don't be scared if you think it's maybe just a tad higher, just to give it a little love tap there, just to help align things. Do that along the way. You can either hit that metal or that metal, whichever is required. Things tend to drift away and shy off. The steel reacts strange with heat, so you have to keep constantly fighting it. So now I'm going to turn my attention to the top, and we're going to get the grips back on it. So we've got our work tacked out, and a few love taps with a hammer. Either way, bring the metal closer together. I'm trying to keep the edge reasonably straight, as it would be if it left the factory. And I think I've achieved it. I ain't got a spot welder, so we're just going to do a seam along here and then grind it off smooth at the end, and you'll not be able to tell. The spot welder would just do that, and that'll be how it's done at the factory, but it does let corrosion in. This will be a more sealed job. I just have to be careful not to overcook it with a MIG welder and take too much of this steel away. So I've got that seam welded, and I'm on with the regrettable part. The regret being I didn't buy a longer sheet of steel. So if we go over this with a flapped wheel, it'll neaten it off and get rid of all that splatter, and it's a bit more forgiving than the grinding discs, as it seems to just flatten things off better. Grinding disc will take a bit more steel away. So with a bit of effort from the angle grinder, I did use the grinding disc first, then the flat wheel on some of it. You can keep going further than this and achieve an invisible repair if you so wish. If I'd have had a spot welder for the top, which is something I'm not going to buy, you wouldn't have known. That would have looked all original. A skimmer filler in it, and no one's any the wiser. So if you are grinding, just be careful where the sparks are flying, because if they hit glass, they seem to embed themselves in it, and if they hit paintwork, exactly the same occurs. So try and keep all the sparks away from your paintwork, and do take some fire precautions as well. Have a bucket of water or an extinguisher on standby, and ideally, it depends where you're working, be guarded about fuel lines, working in places like that. And so I've got a little bit more to do, as welding is invariably measured in bits. Now, it's not just welding, it's bodywork, repair, fabrication. I think welding somewhat trivialises the process, but one of the best tools for de-rusting I've found is a twisted knot wire wheel, and that's ripped through that, ripped that apart. That's already somebody's repaired that before, so we're going to have to make that good. There's quite a bit of blobby welt to remove there, so I'm thinking that sheet steel, maybe make that up. And one way of recreating what was once there is to make a template out of cardboard. Well, it's a lot easier to work than sheet steel. But I'm very pleased with this, and I intend to get some hammerite on it as soon as I've welded that area there. Many thanks for watching, and why not subscribe to learn of more low cost repair solutions.